Good day, gentlemen. Before we proceed, let's do a quick roll call for me to know who's present or absent in today's lesson. Let's see. Mr. Llaban?
Sir, present, sir.
Okay, Mr. Paraiso?
Present, sir.
Mr. Sollano?
Present, sir.
And Mr. Subingsubing?
Present, sir.
Okay, that's good. Everybody is present today. So let me start with our topic. Learning to be a better learner. So let me first share my screen. So can everyone see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. So let me begin the lesson by telling you guys this quote. The capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. So does anyone know what that quote means? No?
No.
Well, let me explain. The quote means that those who have the capacity to learn can use this gift by actually developing their ability to learn. Yet ultimately, the willingness to learn is a choice. This places the responsibility of learning on the person. Of all three, the willingness to learn is by far the most important. Meaning, if all of us have the willingness to learn anything, it is already a step of becoming a better learner. Because if you're not willing to learn, how are you even considered a learner, right? Well, anyway, learning is a process of acquiring new understanding, knowledge, skills, values, and preferences. Us living beings, with the inclusion of few machineries, have the ability to learn. And today, I'm going to teach all of you tips on how to be a proper learner and learn things more properly. So the first would be making an outline on things you want to learn. So who can explain what this means? Yes, Mr. Subingsubing?
Well, sir, it's basically making a list on things you want to learn, things you have been read and acted on, and the things you remember.
Very good, Mr. Subingsubing. Let's proceed to the next tip. The next tip would be to break down tasks in smaller and more manageable details. Anyone who can explain what that means?
Sir, what you mean is to make your task more concise and manageable to make it easier to do.
A good answer, Mr. Paraiso. The next tip would be to incubate your ideas. What do you think does it mean, Mr. Llaban?
Sir, it means that you take your time in doing things. By doing so, when we do tasks we need to do later on, we would have the answer that we didn't think of when we started on it on the first day.
Good. The next one would be to revise, summarize, take down notes, and reread. Anyone who can explain what that means? Yes, Mr. Sollano?
Well, sir, it's basically to review and change parts that can be complicated and make it simpler, and to take note for opportunities to reread something we called a miss earlier.
Good. And finally, the last tip is to engage what you have learned. Basically, all you have to do is to apply what you learned on situations which the skill or knowledge you obtained would be used. And that is all for the first lesson. Does anyone have any questions regarding the topic? No? Then let us proceed to lesson 2. Do not just dream, make it happen. So let's begin the lesson with a question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
For me, I see myself supervising on all the other engineers, sir. The ship, sir.
Same for me, sir.
Also the same for me, sir.
Me too, sir.
That's good. It's great to aim high, but in order to achieve your goal, you must not only dream, but rather take the initiative of achieving your dreams. In order for that to happen, you must set goals that can lead you into achieving your dream of becoming chief engineers of a ship. You must be committed into completing your goals, no matter how hard it may seem, because once you pass that hurdle, you will feel the satisfaction of achieving your dream. And that will be the 3 things you need to do in order to achieve your dream. Take initiative, set goals, and be committed. That is all for the lesson. Do you have any questions? No? Then we can proceed to the final lesson of the day. The last lesson would be less stress, more care. So let's So stress is something constant in our lives, whether it may be at home, school, or even at work. Stress can lead to a lot of negative effects in our mind and body. There's also the possibility of death due to intense stress one undergoes. There are a lot of countermeasures of stress which will differ from person to person. So I will ask starting from Mr. Llaban to Mr. Subingsubing on how you deal with stress. Let's begin with you, Mr. Llaban.
Well, sir, I deal my stress by listening to music and playing sports such as basketball.
How about you, Mr. Paraiso?
I deal with stress by hanging out with my friends and go travel to other places, sir.
And you, Mr. Sollano?
By riding my motorcycle and be with my girlfriends, sir.
And finally, Mr. Subingsubing?
I deal with it by playing basketball and hang out with my friends, sir.
As I see, as all of you have heard, some of similar and different ways in dealing with stress. The main point is to never let stress get to you and place more care to yourself, which basically the title of the topic. So that will be the end of our lesson. So does anyone have any questions?
Well, sir, what would you do if you don't have any way to cope with your stress?
So, wait. So that will be impossible. There is always a way to cope with stress. If you don't have it, then you simply need to find it that will make you cope, whether it may be a sport, a certain person in your life, or even something inanimate. You can always find a way to cope and feel light. Does that answer your question, Mr. Llaban?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
Okay, that's good. So is that everything? Well then, thank you. I would like to thank everyone in listening and participating in the class. I would like to see you all next week. Goodbye.
Bye, sir.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, sir.